How's it going? We are watching Burback, doing some game design stuff, working on a project of mine, unnamed currently. Start that. Loud on
When
my
you're a
end.
kid, your responsibilities are relatively
Be
low.
loud,
If you're lucky,
though.
the adults in your life handle the more important tasks and leave you with chores, school, and don't get me started on homework.
There's so much time in the day, and if you like playing video games, it's probably the most time you'll ever have to enjoy them.
I'm gonna do
Being a
this.
kid also robs you of
So
certain
hopefully
freedoms.
that's
you
not
gotta
too
take
bad.
naps, you gotta eat your vegetables,
It'll
you
be
gotta
alright.
get into your
Okay.
jammies and more bullshit that the grown-ups
So,
make us
hopping over
do.
here, the screen, by the way.
Grown-ups make the kids
Oh.
do.
As you get older and experience more and more freedom, you realize that for the most part, it's
Just got jump scared
You
by
have
that.
to go to work,
do your dishes.
pay your
Alright.
rent, pay your
So yeah,
bills.
this
How much is gas?
screen
Okay,
is
so now I
over
owe the
to
government
my
money
right.
now? How
So you're gonna
much?
see me
Well,
looking
why
over there
don't they
quite
just
a bit.
tell me? Fuck that. I'm not
Alright,
doing
but
it. Okay,
currently,
so now I'm going to jail?
I am
God,
working
I'm so stressed as an
on a
adult.
project
I
in
wish
Unity.
there was a game
Right now
that
I'm
could
just trying
take
to
my
clean a
mind
couple
off
things up.
things. May we
Basically,
introduce The Sims 3.
I'll say it for just a second. Basically, the premise of the game is you're going to be basically like a usurper. So like someone who wants to take the king's throne. You're gonna have a little ragtag group, 2 to 4 kind of heroes. A lot of inspiration comes from like Darkest Dungeon 2 and 1. And then like also it's gonna have a little bit of I don't know quite how to describe it, but that game Blueprints, how that like how you pick rooms. You're gonna try to you're gonna kind of do something similar to that. Each room will have its own encounter. It'll be like kind of turn-based combat. I want to try to make it more like you kind of set your heroes up before the encounter, and then at different points within the encounter, you can kind of change, their abilities, maybe an item or two, or something to kind of anticipate the next group of encounters if you have scouted or whatever. Whether you know or not, whether you know what's ahead of you or not, you can change your people's loadout. Only in designated areas and such. So basically, you'd set your people up at the start. They would go, you'd send them in a direction. Then after each room they clear, or whatever, each encounter they clear, you'll give them a direction, similar to like Despot. If anyone's played that, it's a great game. But yeah, similar to that. But like the combat's more like Darkest Dungeon, I would say. It was what I'm trying to go for, anyway. But yeah, Burback, love Burback, playing in the background.
The Sims 3 is the
Sims
third
3
installment in the
is like
Sims
real life but
franchise.
worse, so
They
true.
subtly hide this in the
I
title.
remember my sister
Sims,
playing
meaning
Sims 3 when we were
Sims,
younger.
And 3 meaning the
And
third.
The original Sims released in
just
2000,
take the
creating a new
ladder out of the
genre in
pool.
games called a life simulator.
I
The
think
concept
everyone
of a
knows
life
that trick,
simulator,
but
and specifically the
I don't
Sim,
know
was
what
such
it
a
is about
massive hit that
watching
by
Sims in
2009,
Panic.
when
It
the
was
Sims 3
it was fun as
released,
a
it had
kid.
become one of the best-selling
Kinda
video
sadistic,
game
but,
series of all time.
You're
Children
kids,
were
you don't know
given
what
the
sadistic
opportunity
means,
to
so it's
live
okay.
out their dreams as an
Alright,
adult,
so,
out in the world with their own career
let's see
and
here. What
home
I'm
to
trying to do
decorate.
now.
And adults could, for the
Just gonna
first
try to clean
time,
up the
throw away
king's
their
info
worries
here.
about their job and
And
responsibilities,
the king is
boot
kind
up
of
their
going to be like the
computer or video
player.
game console and start a new life where they worry about their
Kinda like,
Sims job and their
I don't know, not the
Sims
well, yeah, the player character,
responsibilities.
like kind of like a summoner is in League of Legends. So like you'll
So
have
the
some
first thing you need to do in the
influence
game is create your sim.
over
The character creator is pretty
buffing
good
and commanding your
for
people
2009, but the hairstyles
from
and
the king
clothing are
itself.
definitely stuck
And
in
it'll
that
kind of act
era,
as a
and the
surrogate
art
for the
style holds
player.
up pretty well, but the
If
textures
that
can be a
makes
little bit
sense.
weird, like when you see a t-shirt
But yeah,
that is molding
basically
into
play the
their
character.
skin.
You can pick your Sims
Lefties.
build, their character traits,
And
and their
right
lifelong
now,
dream. All of these set how you'll start the
just
game and how your
trying
sim will
to
react in the world. So we both made versions of
set
each
up their
other.
stats
I
and
made
such.
Tony with the intention of making him the first gamer president
So,
of the United States.
let's
So
see,
I
I'm also
selected the
using deep
computer whiz
stats
trait and made Tommy's
for all
goal
like my
the leader
stat
of the free
collection,
world.
and
And I
it's a
made
pretty
him be a
great
kleptomaniac who hates kids.
like
I thought that was
asset, I
fitting.
guess. Yeah,
Once
pretty
you
great
make your
asset,
sim,
pretty
you
great
have a small
tool.
budget to decorate
I've
and move
learned
into
quite a bit
home,
about
but
it,
you're pretty
but
much
it's
broke.
pretty
I got my sim a job
complex.
on the political track by applying through the
but yeah.
newspaper.
And I walked into the Capitol
So,
building in
let's
plain
see
clothes,
here.
asked for a job, and they just said okay.
Right
Really? You just
now,
walk into a building and
oh,
get a
this is
job?
I just walked straight in and they gave it to me.
For the next several hours, it's pretty much a
and
slow
then what
grind
we're
of
gonna
the
be
most
trying to do
mundane tasks
next.
an adult could
So right
have,
now,
except your sim doesn't behave
let's
like
press
an adult.
play.
They look
I
like
think I
one
can
and have a
this up.
job
I
like
did
one,
an
but
error
they need to
too.
be babied and
I just
directed
moved some
around for
stuff
the
around. Yeah, got a
simplest
couple of
shit.
errors.
Pick up
That's
that plate, I
okay.
swear to God.
Dude, take a shower before
Yeah,
work, you fucking
well,
stink.
this one
Don't eat
didn't.
that, it's
The
spoiled.
values
How
are
did
so
you
I
burn
can't see.
mac and cheese? Did he fucking burn it?
Okay.
Ooh, dude.
There's a lot of fun to be had in The Sims,
Okay,
but
so
moments like
set
these
play.
can definitely break my enjoyment or
Okay, it's
immersion
not grabbing
sometimes.
these.
Like, we don't
That's
mind it as
okay.
an aspect of gameplay, but it's hard to enjoy that part of the game when you have real life tasks or chores to do. I had this moment where I was getting mad at a virtual sim of my brother for not doing the dishes when I had dishes to do in real life, and it just hit me with the thought of, why the fuck am I doing this right now?
I think this is why people who frequently play The Sims have more exciting playthroughs with more creative Sims and extra DLC. It's because these mundane moments are
Double click
probably the weakest
the
part of
script.
the game.
Let's see. Okay, so yeah.
But we aren't saying it shouldn't be in
It's
the
not
game,
grabbing.
because it is a life
Which
sim.
it should be
The
grabbing.
interesting thing about The Sims 3 is that it's open world.
Start,
The entire town
but-
can be looked at and explored
yeah.
even while your sim is at home. So the game constantly
Let's see
has a
here.
web of events and
Kingsman
social
A.
interactions
So
around the
Kingsman are
town
like
that
the
are happening
wackies,
without your sim.
so
And the cool thing is, if you see
we're on the
something
same
happening, you can
nomenclature
then
here.
tell your sim to go to it. So if you see a group of people talking and you want to join in across town,
Oh,
you can
oh,
just
I
have
see.
your sim drive over there.
The social interactions in this game are one of the
Right.
areas where it really shines.
what I did.
Relationships in this game are complex and hilarious.
Put the
Sometimes
wrong
the
thing
Sims
in
behave
there.
in the most bizarre ways and create really unique
So
and hilarious
this-
situations.
Like
So,
my
yeah.
sim was on a date
So this was
and
set
walked
to,
away from the date
this is its
without
UI,
saying
which over
anything
here I have
to
the hierarchy
dumpster dive
covered.
in 4 separate
And
dumpsters. You're gonna throw up. Oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Why does he do this?
Alright. We are gonna say goodbye to them for now. Should we get rolling here? Alright, so yeah. You guys don't need to see the errors. Those are for me. You know what? We need to do that. No, no. Perfect. Alright. Cool. So now, as I was saying, yeah, so what I did was attach it to its game object and not the UI's game object, which it's gonna grab. It should grab his name because it's the only actual text that's on the child of the object. So I just grab it right when it wakes up, wakey wakey eggs and bakey, and then it's supposed to change its name to the corresponding scriptable object's name, which is classes right now. So it's supposed to be the night class. And there we are. Okay. So first thing I see that needs to change is the emblems here. The emblems are not supposed to be replacing the background, which they are because it's just grabbing the child from, it's like the same thing as the name, but this isn't the only image now. I have a couple images now, so I have to change that. Let's change that real quick. Okay, so we can no longer do this because it's not the only image in the child. Yeah, in the children, rather. So, instead, and I don't want to have to plug it in every every time, although I could, and just leave it blank and then do it in the scene. I don't want to do that though. So what I think I'm gonna do is just make a empty script. I could also do this with a tag. But I don't really like using tags unless I have to. So we're just gonna, oops, create a C# script. And we're gonna name it class image. Or I guess, yeah, class image. That works. Okay. Let that reload real quick. I have hard reload too. I don't know why I don't use it, but yeah. So instead of this, we're gonna do this. What I just did, class image children. Okay. Oh, right. So here's what we do. We find object of type. We do that. Then once we have this, we get that component that we need, which is the image. Yep, sure. Yeah, that looks right. So that should work now. And it should keep my background. Oops, I'm using the wrong mouse. Okay, it should keep my background. That I have this beautiful background, which is like card parts or something. That's what the assets call. I handmade none of these assets. These are all assets that I'm using. Like I said, I'm using deep stats. I'm just kind of manipulating, trying to make them all mesh together. Okay, so now when we press play, we should have a nice little image. It should actually be inside the circle, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, and then the background should stay, and the stats should be on the background, but they're off, I already know. Yes. Okay, so get in there. Was here. Right, because right. Oh, right, because I never put that on the actual object, which you have to do. Yeah. If you want to have find object or yeah, find object by type work, you have to actually put that type on the object. And better yet, I can even put it on the actual icon component itself. Now, if I ever needed to find this, where I put this, it might be a little hard, but with the power of deduction, I think I would be able to deduce that it would be on the class image. There we go. Okay. Now, hold it, folks. We're not. Actually, we are done. So I'm going to press play now. Let's see if it worked. Hey, it did. Hey, it didn't for Pirate Guy. Did Right. Because icon. So they both have that. Yeah. Oh, right, because now there's two of them. You can't do that unless you do this. Do kind of what I was doing before. You go. So I have a UI game object. It's gonna hold all the UI. Hit component and child. We're gonna get rid of this nonsense. We're gonna go. So class image. Okay. we are gonna do this. We're gonna move this down for just a moment here. We're gonna go. We're actually gonna take this too. Oh no, we're not. Do that. We are gonna do that. We're gonna go. We're gonna do it. This is definitely not the most efficient way to do it, but it's the only thing that comes to mind right now. Yes. Okay. So we're just gonna do CI to local. So we'll just do that real quick. For class image, then we'll go. Class image class that we just made. Game object. Okay. So now that we have the reference to that, now we can go. Just like that, AI did it for me. I didn't even mean to do that, but that's what I was gonna do. Class image dot set to CI dot get component image. Okay. No, I don't want that. Okay, so there we go. That should work now, and it should grab it from each individual Kingsman's UI, so I don't have to. I shouldn't have to plug and play it like for each UI if I want to, or yeah, for each Kingsman's UI if I want to add more Kingsmen. It'll be a little, just a touch easier now for the future. Hey, it worked. Okay, now you'll also notice that they have these the poorly placed white 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagons right here. These are going to be traits. So each trait is going to give the unit a buff, depending on what it is, depending on the situation, yada yada. For example, I'm going to be messing around, I think, with like moralities are going to be a type of trait. So like the pirate's going to be greedy. That's what the money is actually, I think, right now. Like as just as a placeholder. Excuse me. The knight is going to be loyal, and I think that's like guardian or something. The other one. So he's going to be like more tanky, stuff like that. So he'll get a boost to say health, or health and armor. And then pirate, some traits will give like exclusive options during encounters. So like if you think Slay the Spire, and you like go through those encounters, and some of the encounters like there's one where you can leave a card from a different deck. Let me stop playing this one. Leave a card from a different deck for the next run. So I was thinking, some some traits will have to be a prerequisite to do certain actions within certain encounters. So those are the two kind of ways that traits can function now. And I was also thinking, because this is like building the heroes that you select from the start in such a way that, it's kind of matching your playstyle as you go. So you'll be able to pick up new traits as you, explore different encounters and stuff like that. So depending on what that was my knuckles. Depending on what the character sees, depending on what the hero sees, and does, and like, the options that you make them do, you know. So for example, what I'm talking about, here's a really good example. So like a knight, you wouldn't think a knight, you'd think of a knight as kind of virtuous. They have their own ethics and moralities. Protect the weak. For the king, XYZ. So if you make him go against those kind of morals that are kind of visible in the traits, uh, then you might get a new trait that might buff him in some way, but will kind of hinder that other trait, or you'll have like a some sort of diminishment because of it, some sort of detriment rather. So like in that example, if you have a king or sorry, a knight kill an innocent civilian or something like that because you wanted to pillage the village or sorry, pillage the pantry or whatever. Who knows, something like that. Um, then that night after that encounter, after you made that choice, would either no longer have the virtuous or would have an altered version of the virtuous trait, um, of the trait that says this is a good morality, good a good aligned person, a person that is lawful, or let's say, not whoops, not going off of just like lawful good and lawful evil, but like, even more nuanced, like a pirate. Like a pirate is loyal to his people, but will backstab everyone else, right? So he has the loyalty, but it's very nuanced. It's the loyalty to his crew, to his captain, and even sometimes not his captain, right? It depends on if the captain's making good decisions. So that sounds really complex, but I think I have, a couple ideas of how to implement that kind of into the gameplay. Um, and that's kind of one of the pillars of this project is when people play a game, they want to connect with it with whatever. They want to connect in some way or live vicariously through that game, right? So RPGs, people mainly pick the person or the thing or the hero they aspire to be or are so opposite of them that it kind of it gives them a new perspective on things, if they once they start to think like that or so for example, if you were to um, do an RPG and you're like a pretty strength focused person, you work out a lot, you're not very smart, say, or you're obviously not saying that, hey, I'm not very smart, so I should probably, pick the dumb guy. No, you're not saying that. But like a person like that may be more inclined to pick an intelligent character, in a game like Divinity 2 or something like that, to give them a new perspective, to make them feel more smart, to make them yeah, who knows? But there's a lot of different ways people play games, but one of the main ways is to connect in some way to the characters, and kind of be able to personalize those characters and customize those characters and make them feel like themselves, right? Or whatever they're trying to be through that game or whatever feeling that they're getting from that game. Or experience it really, because that's why people watch movies, right? Is to live out the experience that the director puts forth, right? It's like you go to the Avengers because you just want to turn off your brain and watch superheroes that you grew up with beat the crap out of each other or beat the crap out of a big bad. It's a played out formula by now, but when that was a new thing, like when the Avengers first came out, like it was a very big consensus that everyone in the world wanted to see that, and it's like there's a lot of similarities in gaming that I think is either not capitalized on or too capitalized on. When a genre comes out like battle royal, it gets beat absolutely to death, and they focus more on the tag just to sell it as a battle royal and like meeting these prerequisites to make it a battle royal that they forget that they're making an experience in a game, and like they see it more as a formula to print money. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, ranting a lot. Um, but yeah, let's see here. So that's good. The next thing is the stats. So the stats, again, I'm using Deep Stats Manager. I think it's just called Deep Stats, honestly. But it's really good documentation. Um, Let me do Lukey B Deep Stats. Yeah, that's the one. Here, actually, let me, because I want to make sure they get the recognition if anyone does, decide to join me on my journey here. So yeah, just deep stats documentation. Let's do this real quick. Boom. Deep stats documentation. Okay. So they have a really good documentation. Let me even, whoops, that. Oh, that was the right one. So yeah, deep stats. Very good. Very versatile. Yeah, great tool. I love it. Anyway, so using deep stats, I'm thinking I'm gonna like, again, certain traits will give you buffs and weaknesses, as well as so in deep stats, it's you could do this thing called modifiers. So let's, for example, we'll add a modifier here. It's got all sorts of, these are basically math things, right? Product multiply, added as, converted to, modifier also applies to, convert tags. So tags will get you in a minute, but just like we'll just do just add, just a simple add. You can do like a range here. So like, well, we don't do range right now. We're just trying to get a very basic kind of foundation here. This is a prototype, not even close to being anything, but I'm just kind of noodling around with ideas. And so these are the stats I could increase. Each unit or holder of these stats are going to be able to manipulate them. And they do that through a right now. I think I took this from the demo, even and I'm just kind of fooling around with it and messing with it to kind of fit what I need, and it's pretty good for that. If you have just a basic understanding of C# or the Unity default Visual Studio. So yeah, so here is like initial modifiers that I have set up for these are just the base units. Like every unit is going to get, and this was just, it's just for testing purposes, really. One of each major skill, stat rather, and then, some health. And then they each get a tag unit. Okay, so all Kingsmen, all units will have these two. Now, what I kind of have implemented so far is, this Kingsman script where I'm plugging in class data, which is really just a name and some additional modifiers. This is locked. We could do an unlocked one. Yes, okay. So these classes are very basic. They're just name of the class, basically description, so I can change it later to something else. Class icon, class model. The models are low poly synth from like the synth store. I bought a whole bunch on a Humble Bundle a while back, and man, they're pretty awesome. Let me actually show you those two because they're like really good. I enjoy some stuff. So yeah, I'll just take a look. That's just a knight character, pirate, another pirate, another pirate, and then we got like the colonials. So yeah, did not make any of these. These are from Polygon, the Polygon collection and Synth on the Synth store. And they're very well made prefabs that I'm just kind of using for my prototypical needs. And then this also kind of gave me the idea that they have a Polygon dungeon map kind of thing where you are creating your own. Whoops, I just moved that. I don't want to do that. Where you create your own kind of dungeon. It's like a level designer type deal. It's like an asset pack and all that XYZ. So I've just been using this stuff to kind of make a prototype, not sell the idea, but prove a concept. And yeah, I think it's gonna be fun because that's the main aim, right? So we're trying to make a fun game here. So, back to what I was saying. I keep getting sidetracked. Go back here. So the class system is very, very basic right now. Let me get back to classes. Each class, again, is going to have the model. This is some starting traits. Traits aren't even, there's no functionality to them yet. But everything's going to be kind of based around these modifiers, which is going to, strengthen or weaken your characters, depending on what happens, during combat, for the easiest example, debuffs and such, abilities and spells are going to have these modifiers, as well as, just some damage, logic and stuff like that. Excuse me, so sorry. I should really mute myself when I cough. I apologize. As well as scalars. So yeah, but enough about the mumbo jumbo for right now. We need. Let's see here. Close all those chats. All right. So traits. We need to get traits rolling here. So yeah, athletic, like broken. I was thinking it would be like a status. When they've broken a vow, like I was saying with the knight example earlier. Cultist is going to be like drunk. Should be a fun one. Empowered. So not only is this like kind of class traits, like an occultist would be a cultist. Loyal, things like the pirate will be loyal, the knight will be loyal. Will have a chance to be loyal, I should say. Not all these traits are going to be just boom given. They're going to be a pool. Each kind of starting hero. Think of it like the first Darkest Dungeon, like the how heroes would come in through the Wainwright and like the crossroad or whatever they called it in that game. And they'd have like different quirks and stuff. I really, really loved that mechanic. And it's like it's in Darkest Dungeon 2, but in Darkest Dungeon 1, they only had the skills that they came with until you upgraded them, right? So I liked that. Like their trait, I'm thinking the traits will kind of give them access to certain skills. Certain skills will be locked off if you have a certain trait or abilities, skills, abilities. They're kind of an interchangeable word that I'm using because I haven't really defined them within the project yet. Just like an action for the unit to do, right? Like an attack or a support or and I'm thinking they have maybe a pool of 4 or 5 like in Darkest Dungeon but they're only able to pick 2 or 3 that the unit will use automatically as they are getting to the destination before the next player input. So it'll be like almost like an auto battler as they clear the rooms, is what I'm thinking. And again, this is all very loose in concept right now, but we're gonna try to bring it together. I hope you join me on the journey. So yeah, that's a good kind of introduction to the game. I wanted to do a couple things. I don't have much time. Let's see. I'll set up a couple of traits before I end here. So really, what we're doing right now is just trying to test. So when I'm testing numbers and I'm testing, and this is just like a little tip that I've learned for my brain is easier. Anytime I'm testing numbers, I use like an odd number. And then anytime I have like a base number just for testing, it always either ends in a 0 or a 5, or something that I could be like, okay, well that's base, that's like 5. But if it's like 72 or 83, I know it's been modified in some way, right? Because I try not to use 0s and 5s when I'm testing numbers. Or like adding numbers and stuff, seeing if adding's working or multiplying the sum is working. It's much more noticeable to notice like a 7 being added than another 5. Then you have to remember the actual start value, right? If you're always dealing with 5s or 0s. And I've noticed people do that, like, oh, let's see if it's working, add 10. Let's see if it's working, I just add 5. you know, which I do that all the time too. But I've started adding um, kind of just, you know, odd numbers, threes, sevens, you know, really threes and sevens, ones. Not ones, because ones are too close. They're negligible. So you want it big enough so you notice the change, but not uniform enough where you have to actually decide, well, did it change? You have to actually decipher. You don't want that. The quicker you can get the information and the feedback, and if what you're doing is right, the better off you are. Okay, so this is athletic. So I'm thinking base speed. So anything that says base um, is going to be like, actually, I should change that because I want speed to be one of the main attributes. So attributes that, you know, are primary, like primary attributes. That's a better word for it. And base speed is a primary, but it's labeled as if, because base, well, no, I guess so. Well, no, I don't know yet. We won't worry about that yet. So we want to boost the speed. We'll say by 7. And we want to boost, we'll say the strength by 3. Okay. So we're just gonna fill in a couple of these out. This one's more nuanced. I'm gonna have to do that one a little more. We'll do a little more meticulously. Should finish that thought. So sum multiply, I think, is multiplying the sum, believe it or not. And we'll just do magic. And then we'll do by 20% of magic. So if you have the cultist trait, you're gonna get a 20% boost to your any magic stat, which the magic stats are gonna obviously influence magic damage, magic defense, and it's gonna be kind of like magic and defense stats kind of go into that. And then there's gonna be like obviously physical defense, and then I was thinking also another mechanic, kind of like Dark Dungeon, where something with their mind. Um, that was also like the broken, and that's why mind. If the most the most astute, that's the word I was looking for, of observers will notice that there's a mind stat. Excuse me, and I'm thinking. Bear with me. I'm thinking with the mind stat. So drunk, perfect. Oh my god, a perfect. A perfect embodiment of influence on the mind. That's what I was trying to. Okay, and we're just gonna. That's what I was trying to say. -7. That. I don't actually know if that works. Like adding -7, it should work, but and then you're gonna get like a +7 to strength. We'll say again, testing purposes. Testing purposes, we are not going to worry about any sort of balance yet. Empowered, we'll say you're going to add 300 healthy boys to that healthy years. And then what you're going to do is you're then going to add some base defense. Not only will you add this, you will sum multiply it, not by 3,000 million through 30,000%, but actually, it's all 3%. 30%. I just broke my own rule back there. So hope nobody notices. We go back. This. We use, well, it's a percentage. So, yeah, we're still gonna do it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yep. There are experimental, nuanced. Skip. Okay. Read. Excuse me. Again, nuanced, but it is gonna have some base. It is gonna be based on all the chords. It I guess mind. What is that? 3 to the mind. Because you're just actually should cloud your mind. -3. Yeah. Yeah. So, but then and only then you get +13 to your speed. Because you're quick to make decisions about money. I know. Hold your applause. Oh, too good. All right. Next one, Guardian. Easy one. Bang this one out. That, if I've ever seen it, it's about something like 77 base defense. And then we throw you a cool 30 health. Yeah. Did I say 30? I meant 33. Anyway. Moving on. Leader. Now, leader. Oh, leader. Silly boy. Silly little leader. We're going to multiply your sum by a freezing 30%. Don't even know what stat yet. We're doing it, though. We're going to do it. What is this? Leader. 2. Health. To your health. 30% boost. I don't want to hear another thing about it. We're actually on top of that. And I think they trigger from top to bottom. I think. I'm almost positive. Not 100% though. So, we're just going to add 3 to your 7 to your health. I misspoke. Yeah, okay. Production's telling me 7. And then 30% of it. I told him. Okay. We're good. All right. Loyal. Testing purposes only. Testing purposes only. You are going to have so much strength. You're going to have 37 strength. Yeah. What does that mean? Nothing right now. Stop asking silly questions. What's this one? Oh, tunnel vision. This one, I had a pretty good idea for. I don't quite remember the full thing, but something like this. You're gonna. Is that mine? Yeah. Doing this through OBS, so because I don't want to look over here. So you get something like 7 in the mind, but then you get something you get something like 100. No. Keep forgetting how percentages work. 100% of your skill added on the top. Oh, you can also do this. So I think this is how this Yeah. So, like I was saying, like the king is gonna be, or the usurper or whatever, is going to be like the player, the player's hero, right? And then there, so all of there's gonna be like the leader, right? Um, obviously. So the leader's attributes and stuff will be passed down to the henchmen, not in the sense that any trait the leader has, the henchmen are gonna have, but these traits are gonna have to meld, or some of them are going to collide, and it'll make for good interactions and good kind of like synergies and stuff. uh but yeah, so like think of like auto pets, like, or TFT, where if you have a certain, well, TFT, if you have a certain number of, I don't know what they use now, but a certain number of dill weeds, you'll get the magical dill weed that spawns in the middle and slaps everyone in the face. uh, Something like that, uh, to a more, so like if all of your people are loyal, and uh, your, say your king has a, I don't know, king has a greed, or like, yeah, say king has a greed trait, then your, some of the hero skills will say, return money on kill. Will say, you have 10% more chance to find rare loot. Something that is akin to being greedy. Uh, is my thoughts anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, we've gotten some great work done, guys. I will need to see you in my office before the end of the day. Nothing big. You're not getting fired. Do bring your stuff though. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Whoever does, stop by next time. I should be streaming tomorrow. This is SureCure. Also going to be posting this on YouTube as well. Going over there, SureCureStudio, uh, on YouTube. I don't know. Sure. Uh, so yeah, thanks guys. Hope you have a great day. Peace.